That lady who tried to say that I abandoned a child, she really tried to mess up. What's crazy now is that recently she tried to follow me on Facebook. And then she found me on TikTok. And I'm like,
Today, we are doing something slightly different, and I have the incredible honor to have a conversation with Doc G, aka Dr. Gregory Marcel, aka
DJ Celebration, aka Big Cell, aka
all the things. But we're doing an episode, and it's going to be two parts. We're doing an episode, and it's going to be called "Everything I'm Not Made Me Everything I Am."
Yes.
And really getting to know the journey more
Okay.
intimately.
Let's get into it.
Let's start talking about start talking about the idea of who you were supposed to be when you were
Ooh.
growing up.
You came in
I know, right? Yeah, I should have started off a little slow. Let's go back. Let's go. Wait, let's
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, let's talk about your upbringing.
My upbringing, okay.
Yeah, let's start there.
What you want to know? Like,
tell me, where did you grow up? How was that experience?
cool. So I was born in Queens. So I lived in Queens for, I don't know, maybe like 4 years. 4 years. But I remember I have a good memory of like childhood for some things. So we lived in an apartment. It was me, my older brother, my mom, my dad. I don't remember what floor we lived on, but I remember like we used to do fun stuff. I got the chicken pox in that apartment. I remember being butt ass naked on the table and my mom putting all this ointment on me. We had our first dog in that apartment. I remember the dog had found a crab had got in our apartment, and the dog had found a crab. I don't know how the hell the crab got in our apartment. Don't ask.
Okay.
The dog picked up the crab, and I just remember my mom leaving me and the apartment screaming, running outside. And I'm like, lady, I'm like 3. I'm running too.
Okay.
And we like, yo, this dog. But we had wound up moving when my little brother, when my mom was pregnant with my little brother, we had wound up moving to Long Island. So I moved to Amityville, and we lived in Amityville. I used to think my house was like the nicest house. It was the nicest house on the block, though. It was the newest house on the block. Like, my parents was young. Both of them worked as CEOs. Yeah, it was me, my 2 brothers. So I'm the middle child. Had my little brother, older brother. And I remember my little brother, when he first was born, like, he had really bad asthma. So he always was, like, in and out of the hospital. Yeah, I remember, like, in that household, I remember a lot of good and, like, fun things. Like, we had the basketball court in the back. My dad used to try to get me to be, like, the next Michael Jordan. I used to be like, I don't really want to play ball, but whatever. So I used to go to this camp every summer. Me and my older brother, we used to play basketball. I remember one of my first birthday parties, I had the Power Rangers come, and I thought the Power Rangers was real because they disappeared. Like, when the party was over, they really disappeared. And I was like,
what?
yo, where'd they go? Where'd they go?
Wait, do that
It was
again.
the Red Ranger, all of them.
Wait, say what you said again one more time. How you do it when they left? When they disappeared?
Nah, it's like, yeah, I remember my cousin and my brother, so I used to hate scary movies when I was younger. Like, I was a real punk. So my brother used to torture me low-key. He used to just do like stuff that he knew I didn't like.
Your older brother or younger
My
brother?
older brother. So he one time, him and my cousin Patricia, they made me swear on the Bible that I wasn't gonna tell anybody that they was gonna do what they was about to do to me. And they held me down and literally held my eyelids and made me watch this movie. I think it was like Pinhead or something. I used to be OD scared of Pinhead. And as soon as I'm over there crying, like, let me go, let me go. As soon as they let me go, I ran upstairs. I'm like, I don't care if y'all made me swear on the Bible. Tell my mom. But it just used to be crazy, little dumb kid stuff that used to go on in my household. So yeah, we had fun. Like, my older brother, it was a time period where we used to like hang out all the time. So I feel like my dynamics with my brothers, I have the best dynamics with them versus like them two, just because of the simple fact that when I was growing up, I used to always have to be with Rayvon. until I got to a certain age, and Dante always had to be with me, and me and Dante used to hang out all the time, and Ray used to just do whatever he was doing. But my parents, they got divorced when I was in like fourth grade. Then we moved like down the street into another house, which was not as nice as the house that we was in, but it was a nice house still. Um, I had a lot of friends. I always knew a lot of people. I mean, we used to be fight. I used to get into a lot of fights growing up, just dumb, petty little fights. Like people just wanted to fight me one because who I hung out with, or just because they was just jealous. Like it was just a lot of jealousy going on. But I used to traditionally walk to school, or like the bus used to come pick us up and take us to school. But once I got into like seventh and eighth grade, we had to walk. Um, I grew up around mainly black people, so like black people, Hispanic people, but I didn't have that many Hispanic friends. I had mainly black friends, and my school was very diverse though. So black, white, Asian, Muslims, everything was in my school. And yeah, I mean, Amityville was fun. I mean, I used to just be doing a whole bunch of stuff. I was outside. I was an outside boy. So
Always outside.
yeah.
So like you talked about your upbringing and how did you feel like when you were growing up? Who did you think that you were supposed to be?
Oh, I was supposed to be well, I am a doctor, but I was supposed to be a medical doctor or a lawyer. That's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So even like when I graduated high school, my mom made me a graduation cake that said future doctor. I'm like, girl, why would you do all that? Put all that pressure on me. But nah,
Do
she
you
put
feel
that
like
on
it
my
was
cake.
pressure? Did you think like, oh, I need to go this route when she did that?
No, I mean, no, but when I decided that I didn't no longer wanted to do it, I'm like, was thinking of the cake, like, damn, she don't put that shit on my cake.
Wow.
But I still became a doctor. I just went my own route.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw myself being either a lawyer or a doctor. Saw myself having a nice house. Like I always thought I was gonna be like I was gonna have nice things.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have, I mean, you mentioned the cake, right? And the writing on the cake. Did you have any like other expectations that were weighing on you as you were growing up?
Yeah, so I was the most responsible in my household, and it wasn't because I wanted to be. My mom, when she was raising us, she knew her kids. I felt like so. Dante was the youngest. He the baby. He's gonna get treated like the baby. He's not gonna get in that much trouble. He's not gonna get beat like that, etc. Rayvon, I feel like the oldest do have it harder out of all the kids. But also, I also feel like the oldest do the most dumb stuff. And that was Rayvon. Ray was just doing dumb stuff. So my mom looked at me as the most responsible child. So I mean, I was the only person that had my mom debit card number. The only person my mom would allow to use her car. Like she never even let my little brother like just go outside use her car. Like she would let me use her car to like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, I was the first person she bought a cell phone for. Cause I have wrote a runaway letter one year because I ain't like how my mom was acting, and I felt like she was treat. I have middle child syndrome, so I felt like she was treating my brothers different, like better.
Both of them.
Yeah, and I wrote her a letter, and I told her like I'm running away. So when I wrote her the letter, she still has the letter. It's so funny, and she loved to bring it up. But when I wrote the letter, and then she read it when she came home. She was like, "Come on, I'm gonna take you shopping." She bought me a cell phone. She went and took me shopping, all of that. And then my brother was hating. My older brother was hating. He was like, "Oh, how you buy him a phone? Like, why you do this for? Whatever." But yeah, me and my older brother, we had the most arguments. Me and my little brother, like he used to do little stuff where I had to like pop him, but me and my older brother, we would go at it a lot.
Did you have, you mentioned like being responsible, the future doctor cake, as I said already. Like, do you feel like those expectations, like you mentioned that you thought about it, like, oh, she got me the cake that said I should be a future doctor. Are there other expectations that you feel like, did I ask this question already?
No, go ahead,
Oh,
finish. Let me see where you going.
I guess I'm like, do you feel like there's other expectations that you had growing up, or just even not even growing up, like when you were in high school, but even when you got to college?
Oh, I mean, I feel like my parents always had expectations for me, but not just for me. They had expectations for
All of
all of
y'all.
us.
Yeah.
But when it comes to me, like, so my parents have two different parenting styles. My dad he raised us very strict. Even though he wasn't in the household, it was time periods where I haven't talked to my dad for months, etc. But like me and my little brother, because we have the same father, we always knew like, yo, we don't want to hear his mouth. Like when he do call us, we don't want to hear it. My dad was very short with us, so everything what was most important for him was like, oh, y'all better get good grades in school. Like that's all. That's all he really cared about. Like he won't ask about too much. I didn't do extra curriculum activities like that. So, like in high school and stuff. So it was nothing for my parents to go to. My little brother was in a band, so when my dad could, he would try to make those activities for him. But my mom would support my little brother through that. But when I went to college, yeah, I mean, their main thing was like, make good grades, don't get in no trouble. You're a black man, watch out for the cops. Like my mom been giving that speech before, all the media has been showing like, oh, George Floyd has been killed and this person has been killed. Like my mom been giving that speech to us.
You mentioned that like your dad he was very strict. He cared more about your academics, right? And clearly you have done very well for yourself, especially academically. The lack of emotional support from your dad, did that play a part, or just the absence of it? Like a lot of
Yeah.
black fathers aren't really like, did that shape you in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, of course, it impacted, but I do know that like I had a lot of support growing up, so like I had uncles, like my aunts, they were married,
Yeah.
so when I would go to my cousin's house, I chill with my cousins and my aunts and uncles, they always show love. Friends that, their parents may have been married, like their parents used to treat us like we was their own. So I never really felt like I felt the absence of my dad, but it wasn't like impactful to the point where it's like, oh, I'm about to start acting up or like I'm depressed or I felt this type of way. And my mom was always very loving. Like she always gave words of affirmation, always trying to, encourage somebody. And, she was being a mom at the end of the day. So she did what she needed to do and had to do to support me and my brothers. So yeah.
It's really interesting because I oftentimes hear people talk about the absence of a love, like a parental, like their attention and things like that. And often they will go to or they will talk more about or lean more on the support of the adults surrounding them. And I'm just always in awe of that, right? Where people are just like, yeah, even though my parent wasn't here, I still had this other adult and it didn't have that much of an impact on me.
Yeah.
How do you feel like those parenting practices, because you said they had two different parenting styles,
Yeah.
show up in your life now? Like, do you see your father in you and do you see your mother in you?
Oh yeah, I see both of them. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I act like both of them in different aspects.
Yeah.
Like I said, my dad is military and he was a correction officer. So he got 11 brothers and sisters, I believe. And, he just grew up differently. Like both my parents grew up on a struggle, right? That's their story to tell. But my mom was strict in some ways too. Like the only thing my mom was really strict on was school, and she was strict on like bedtime. I had a bedtime all the way through high school. My friends used to call me. I used to be in my room. So how my house was, it was my room, my little brother room, and then my mom room. So we was all right here. I mean, you couldn't really maneuver without knowing somebody else just walked out of their room. And I remember 9 o'clock, 9:30, the latest was like lights out in your room. You need to go to sleep. Y'all got school in the
Like
morning.
senior year too?
Yeah, my mom. When I had a cell phone, I just used to be in my room on my phone, like talking on the phone, whatever. But when I didn't have a cell phone, if my friends would call me at 9 o'clock, oh, she was fussing them out. Why you not sleep? Why you calling my house at 9 o'clock? Blah blah blah. And I used to be in my room like, Ma, tell them I'm in the shower. Tell them I'm in the shower. Cause I used to be so embarrassed that I had a
Yeah.
bedtime. I'm like, yo, nobody else. My friends is up till midnight,
Yeah,
11 o'clock,
chilling.
chilling. But when I look back at it, like my friends also was getting C's and D's.
Yeah.
Like they wasn't doing that good in school.
Yeah.
Like they was barely making it. And then my friends used to always say to me, they used to be like, yo, you be outside doing the same thing we doing. How you getting A's and B's? Like, because we used to compare report cards and stuff like, oh, yeah, I got my report card. And my friends used to be trying to change their report card or hide it, etc. But, yeah, my mom, those were the two things my mom was strict on. I feel like my dad was just strict on everything.
Yeah.
Like, it was to a point where I wouldn't even want to ask him for stuff because I already knew the answer was going to be no. Like, he was big on no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did that impact you for asking other people for stuff, or you just like, I'm not asking him?
Nah, it didn't impact me from asking other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never really asked people for stuff for anyway. Like, my mom would say no too sometimes, but sometimes she'd be like, yeah. But my mom was also a bribe. She would bribe me.
Yeah.
So she'll be like, oh, watch your little brother. I'll give you $60. And I was like,
all right,
I got like, we about to go to the mall anyway. Like, come
Yeah.
on, he just gonna come and do whatever. So she would do little things like that when she wanted to get out and go do something.
Mm-hmm. So you have this, you have this relationship and this foundation, and it seems as if whatever was set out for you when you were younger, you actually achieved it. Did at any point, well, I guess you went from you were going to be a medical doctor to now being a doctor in psychology. Healthcare.
Yep.
What changed?
What changed?
Why did you go from wanting to be a medical doctor?
Oh, because I didn't want to be broke that long. I mean, that was my mindset. Like my junior year, my junior year is when I had the mindset like, oh, I don't want to do this no more. Like, first off, I'm over all these science classes, etc. But then also just looking at what I had to do to get into med school and prepare for med school. I'm like, my parents is broke. Like, that's my mindset. I'm like, my parents ain't got no money like that to be supporting me through med school. On top of how am I about to pay for med school? So I deaded it. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm gonna just have to figure out something else to do because I'm not about to be broke.
Yeah.
Even when I was broke, I ain't never felt broke.
Yeah.
Because I knew how to maneuver my money. But knowing, like, being in med school is very, like, from what I hear and people that I have known went to medical school, like, you need a lot of support. And I don't feel like I had that type of support to do that.
Yeah.
So I had to be realistic with myself.
So many of our listeners don't know you right now. Like, they don't know you at all. So they don't know where you landed. So where are you now as far as your profession?
So, I mean, as far as degrees, I have my doctorate in healthcare administration. I have my master's in education, concentrating in community counseling. And then I have my bachelor's in science, concentrating in pre-medicine. So I have my business. I have multiple businesses. I have my mental health practice levels. I have my outpatient company, Self-Love Outpatient. And I have New Age Consultant. And I have my nonprofit, Our Community Home. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, all these things was things that I wouldn't say I accomplished it alone because I've always had some type of guidance or support. Somebody gave me some type of knowledge, but it wasn't, majority of it, I did it myself, right? And I didn't have, growing up, I didn't have people to look at like that was like, I didn't know no entrepreneurs, unless they was on the street selling drugs.
So what
those
happened?
are the type of entrepreneurs
they were
I knew.
Entrepreneurs, though.
Those are the only entrepreneurs I knew.
So what happened, though? Like, when was like, oh, I could do this?
Honestly, I feel like I think so. I talked about it in one of the other episodes when I said that I found a letter that I had wrote and said I wanted to open a
Yeah.
business.
Looks like our second one.
Yeah. I feel like once I was doing the work and
Yeah.
just seeing the people around me that's doing it, I'm like, yo, I'm just as smart as you, if
Yeah.
not probably smarter.
Yeah.
I can do exactly what you can do.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
were there ever moments of doubt that you had?
Of not being able to open,
Or just
like, to
not
be an
being
entrepreneur?
Mhm.
Nah.
Was there ever like was there ever in your journey something or someone that rejected you that made you
Yeah, of course. So I remember when I first signed up for, I talked about this in another episode. I'm gonna talk about another time. So I remember when I was in grad school, right? So I was working in mental health, and the first job that I got when I was working in mental health, I had wound up quitting because I didn't have any clients or whatever, and I wound up going on an interview, and they had a non-compete. So I went ahead and signed a non-compete, and I just quit the other job because I'm like, I don't have clients here anyway. So I started working at that company. I worked at that company for a whole year. I mean, from at that company, I had maybe like 3 or 4 different positions within that year time frame, and I helped them start their therapeutic day treatment after school program. So my job at, towards the end of my time there, I was over the TDT program. So I was a counselor, but I also had to pick up all the kids. So it's probably about like 5 kids that was going to the program at the time. Excuse me. So the kids was all over the place. Office was located in Chester, but I had the kids to pick up in Chester, Henrico, and Richmond. So I'm like looping around the city, picking up these kids in my personal car at the time, right? They like, oh, we gonna get transportation soon, blah blah blah, all these wishes, but nothing ever came about it. So anyway, one day I was late picking up one of the kids from Chester because I was coming from Short Pump area, and typically I took a different route this time, and this was the youngest kid that I was picking up. So he was at school, but I contacted the school and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be a little bit late. I'm in traffic, be like 15, 18 minutes late. Cool. The school was like, all right. So the school went ahead and they contacted my boss. So when I get to the school, I'm looking for the kid. The kid's not there. So I call my boss like, "Hey, I'm here to pick up this kid. The kid's not here." My boss is like, "Oh, the kid's at the office." I'm like, "Okay, well, you could have called me and told me that." Like, so, anyways, I get to the office. Meanwhile, I asked to be off that day because my mom was getting like a colonoscopy or something the next day, and she needed somebody to take her. So, and they told me I couldn't have the day off. But I get to the office, drop the rest of the kids off. They like, oh, you could go home. We'll talk to you on Monday. So I'm like, whatever. So I'm like, all right. I pack my stuff. I drive to Delaware. That's where my mom was living. I'm in Delaware. Come back on Monday. They want to have a meeting with me to terminate me. They put in a termination that I abandoned a child. So I'm looking at them like, oh, you lost your damn mind. Like, I'm not signing this. So I took the paper from them and marked it out. And I was like, I'm not signing this. And I walked out. Now this was coming up on my last semester in my graduate program, and I needed to have I need to do my internship and practicum. I was doing it all in 600 hours in one semester. So I was supposed to do it at that company, but they was giving me the runaround like the licensed person couldn't do it. Like they was trying to figure out whatever they was trying to figure out. So they had never gave me a yes or no. So I was in my head, I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have to find another place to do an internship and try to work full time because like I got my own apartment, I'm paying my bills, I got my little car, whatever. Needless to say, so they fired me. At the time I was living with Brock, me and Brock was roommates. So I go home, I'm like, yo, I lost my job. Like, we got like 2 weeks till we gotta pay bills again or whatever. So the job that I quit a year ago, I called them and I'm like, hey, can I can are y'all hiring or whatever?
Yeah.
And they wound up saying like, yeah, and they wound up hiring me back in like the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started that job, it was like things was just coming. I got like 3 raises in 1 year. I became employee of the quarter. I became a supervisor. It was all these things. And I was able to do my internship. So it
Yeah.
worked out. But that lady who tried to say that I abandoned a child, she really tried to mess up my like
All that you've worked for.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah.
What's crazy now is that recently she tried to follow me on Facebook. And then she found me on TikTok. And I'm like, I let her follow me because I'm like, yeah, you need to see how I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it'd be so interesting to me when people do, messed up things to you like that, and then they want to like be in your space or see what you're doing. Like, yo, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you're speaking and I'm hearing you, what came to my spirit is the fact that oftentimes so many people get to hear you share about your successes. I mean, it's evident that you are an incredible entrepreneur. And I want us to take a break and then come back because I really want to talk about your heart.
Mm-hmm.
I have been honored enough to get closer to you or to be around when you get certain phone calls and how many people that you have helped, even your clients. I have been in your office where you have been the kindest to clients that come in there. And if people follow you, they see all the gifts that you give your staff and all the trips that you take your staff on and things like that. But there's so much more to you than what you do for Levels and what you do for the community. So,
Right.
Despite rising societal stressors, it's possible to take care of your well-being. Levels Mental Health provides compassionate care for those experiencing mental health challenges. Our holistic approach addresses anxiety, depression, behavior issues, and trauma, ensuring individuals feel understood. It's time for accessible mental health services for all. Visit levelsmentalhealth.com to learn more, schedule a consultation, or donate to expand outreach and support our community.
All right.
how's your heart?
How's my heart?
Yeah.
Clear, clean, crystal. You like how I did that, right?
I did.
Nah.
It's cute. I like alliterations too, so it's even better. What do you think the biggest misconception is about you?
The biggest misconception about me, I think that some people, when people don't know me, I feel like they think that I'm probably not somebody that they could talk to. Like, people are scared to, like, speak to me. Yeah. I don't know why, though. It could be, like, confidence, maybe. I don't really know the answer. But I've had people tell me that before.
Like, once they got to know you, they'll be like, oh, I thought I
Yeah.
couldn't talk to you.
Yeah.
And, like, is there, like, one thing that you really had to overcome emotionally or personally to just be who you are right now?
Overcome. One thing that I had to overcome. I don't know. I feel like it's so much to think about when you ask that question.
Yeah.
Right. One thing that I had to, I mean, there's so many things that I had to overcome because I I didn't have like a crystal clear life.
Yeah.
But one thing that I had to overcome, honestly, I would say is myself, like self-doubting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was always confident. Like, I used to be shocked. It's funny. I had a conversation with my mom, and she swear I was like super outgoing, and I'm like, no, I was not. And then she seen a video that my aunt had sent, and it was like my cousins was dancing in the house, and even my little brother. And my little brother is not that type of person today. And I was just sitting on a wall, and they like, go ahead, Gregory, dance, and I was like, mm-mm. Like, I was just shaking my head. I used to be mad shy. I used to be quiet. Like, around my friends, I wasn't like shy. Like, once I knew somebody, but I used to be shy. I used to not want to do certain things. I didn't want to engage in extracurricular activities and stuff like that because I felt like I wasn't good. So I
Yeah.
felt like just that. I mean, I feel like that's the biggest obstacle in life is like really getting over like those negative thoughts that you may experience in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that changed for you?
College. I feel like college is when I stepped out of my shell and like really started doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, joining organizations, trying out different things. Like, that's when I really was just like, oh, all right, yeah, I'm about to do this. We about to be lit, like, whatever. Yeah.
Does that shyness still come up sometimes for you? Like the reserved part of it?
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's shy now. I would just say it's more observant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean?
So, like, there may be times that I'm in a room with people and that I'm quiet, not because I'm shy. I'm just quiet because I'm observing. Like, I'm just listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seeing what's what, who's who.
Yeah. Or just, listening or just taking in what's happening. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had mentioned before we went off, like all that you have done for people, either publicly or privately. Where does that desire come from? Where does that commitment come from? Like helping people.
I feel like I've always been like that. Like, when I was younger, my friends, they used to be getting kicked out of the house. I used to be like, oh, my, can they stay at the house? Like, even when, I remember one time we got my older brother kicked out of the house, me and my little brother. And I would see him, and he'd be like, yo, Greg. I used to be like, damn, here you go. He used to be like, yo, mom cook. I used to be like, yes, I got you. I'm going to bring you a plate. And I used to go home and pack a plate, and I would go to where, to his friend's house where he was at. I just always used to just give stuff. Like, even with money, if I had money, we lit in a store, like, you want chips? But I think that's just always been a part of me.
Yeah. Always been a giver.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you gave too much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I felt like that, I know when to stop. Yeah.
So you don't have to.
Sometimes I'm not aware of it until something happens that's like negative. And then I gotta recollect stuff and I'll be like, wait a minute. But I did, and not that I have to put that in somebody's face, but like, I did XYZ to XYZ, and then you acting like that. Oh, okay. Now I adjust myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think about the time that you had told me, or you told us, right, all the listeners, like how you are just a really loyal person. Where did that come from? Like, I'm here with you. I'm by your side.
I feel like that came with family. Like, that's just how my family is. Like,
Y'all
even
very close.
Yeah, even in disagreement, like, it's still loyalty there. I mean, my family is big, both sides. But I was really more close with my mom's side of the family, extremely close with my first cousins, like my mom's siblings, kids, etc. But so, like, with that relationship, like, we just always been loyal to each other. Like, even when it came to anything, like, it's never been a time where we snitched on each other. I mean, we rarely had arguments and fights. Like, I probably argue with my cousins maybe 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
Like, even in the midst of, like, if we know our parents, it got a little disagreement, like, we never let that get in between us, and even the adults wouldn't let that get in between the kids. So, I mean, it was always loyalty that was shown, and we learned early on how to deal with, like, conflict.
Yeah.
With seeing it. Because my family, it wasn't the perfect family, and they definitely used to have conflict in front of us, but a lot of times they was able to have that conflict, and even if it got nasty, a lot of times people still stood in that same room and, like, dealt with it.
Just duke it out.
Like, all right, like, I said what I said, but whatever, and we gonna move forward,
Have you, like, as you grown up, I mean, you said that you had self-doubt and that you got past that. Even now, like, are there any, like, narratives that you're still working through?
Nah, I feel like I'm like, real confident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with failure. I'm the only person I got to take care of.
Yeah.
You know, I take care of other people because I want to, but in the end, if all fails, if everything shut down, I only really need to worry about myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I already experienced. I feel like I already experienced being low. I mean, it's always lower that
Right.
you
You
could go,
like,
right?
yeah.
But I already experienced being low. I know what it feels like to be broke. I know what it feels like to sleep on somebody's couch.
Right.
And you not have nowhere else to go. I know what it feels like to not have a car. Like, I know what it feels like to take public transportation. Like, I've done these things, right? I know what it feels like to walk around in the hood and, you know, see people doing drugs or selling drugs. So, like, being in different environments and just seeing different things and also being a part of the narrative is just like, you gain those survival skills. So, if when certain things come up, it don't really bother me like that because it's like, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff. You know, I witnessed a lot of things.
Yeah.
So,
if you had to tell, and you probably heard this question being asked before, but if you had to tell your younger self something, what would you say?
if I had to tell my younger self something, I would probably say, I don't know. I really don't know. I got to think on that.
That makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a heavy question,
Yeah.
or it takes some time to think about.
Yeah.
So we talked about all the things, and about your childhood, growing up, your work, just why you show up the way that you do in your friendships, relationships, and what have you with your clients. Is there anything else you want to tell people about you?
Look, y'all need to just tune in to the episode, right? And I mean, y'all can ask questions. Y'all can always ask follow-up questions, right? And then we gonna jump on. I'm gonna jump on. Whoever gonna jump on, we gonna give y'all what y'all need.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm somebody that y'all could walk up to, have a conversation with. You know, I'm down to talk about whatever. It's nothing that's holding me back to communicate with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk all day. So that question to me is kind of like, where you want me to start? And we just started.
Right. I get you.
So, yeah.
I get you.
So,
well, thank you so much for sharing yourself with us.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate you.
Can't wait till it's my turn to put Crystal in the hot seat.
Oh, God. Well, this is going to be harder because you're a therapist, so your questions are going to be a lot different.
No, I'm gonna be...
Take it easy.
I'm going to take it easy.
All right, good.
Yep.
Please do.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.